Honorable mentions.
Dead Cells is an addicting roguelike with fast-paced combat and an ever-growing list of abilities, but it came out last year so it's not on the list. Hollow Knight is a beautiful, creative Metroidvania Souls-like that remains fluid and fair throughout its dozens of hours, but it came out last year so it's not on the list. Sonic Mania is a French kiss for classic Sonic fans. I'd say it's the best game in the series, with uncharacteristically fair level design most of the time, an incredible soundtrack, and detailed sprite art. But it came out last year so it's not on the list. A Way Out was a unique experience. It was generic in every aspect other than two people being able to play an objectively mediocre game at the same time. Kirby Star Allies is probably the worst, least creative Kirby game. Hey, it's still a Kirby game, so it's pretty good. Nintendo Labo was an awesome concept that encouraged creativity and experimentation. Too bad you had to sell your fucking soul to actually get it. Seriously, regardless of how nice the cardboard is, and this is some pretty high quality stuff, you're still dropping nearly 100 bones for paper. That won't be attractive in any circumstance. Red Dead Redemption 2 was clearly the next step in graphical realism and open world design. Maybe if it didn't have a 3-hour intro in which the game literally kills you if you try to explore, it would have held my attention. Finally, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze New Funky Mode. If the original game had come out this year, it wouldn't just be on the list, it might have topped it. It's a challenging, brutal platformer that's fair all the while. If you haven't grabbed this game, you're missing out on not only the best Wii U game, not only one of the best Switch games, not only one of the best Nintendo games, but one of the best fucking games of all time. Alright, on to the regular list.
Number 10, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee.
While extremely simple, even compared to other Pokemon games, Pokemon Let's Go is a good time. The music's nice, the look is simple and sweet, and the combat is streamlined. So streamlined in fact, most of the battles are just cut out of the fudging game. It's an accessible gateway drug for kids who have never played a game in the series, and a smooth, delicate handjob for longtime fans. Like the Pokemon follow you in this game, and they have their own little quirks, and you can feed them, and they're just so fucking precious. Not to mention taking them with you in your Pokeball Plus, and playing with them by shaking it around and rubbing its little rubber nipples is just a joy. And you throw the ball to capture Pokemon in the first place, and you have to aim just right to catch the tougher ones. Plus, you've got a little Pikachu or Eevee hanging out with you and doing cute little animations of being way too fucking overpowered. Is it a cash grab? Yes. Is it kind of boring? Yes. Is it trying to suck in children by mimicking Pokemon Go and dumbing down the entire game as a result? Yeah.
Number 9, Mario Tennis Aces.
Mario Tennis is great again! Nearly 15 years, 2 aggressively average games, and a bucket of tears later, Camelot has remembered what makes Mario Tennis fun. Because it was never the tennis. Tennis is fucking boring and tiring. And I always hit the ball way too hard and it goes out into the street or down a cliff or something. Mario, conversely, is very fun. He can jump real high, he's very fast. He's strong too. Mario doesn't abide by physics, is what I'm saying. And these past games really tried to make him do that, despite admittedly stupid mechanics attempting the opposite. In Aces, these characters don't give a fuck. Slow down, speed up, straight up teleport to the ball, jump 20 feet in the air, completely stop time, then slam the ball, just crush it with an ult, and literally destroy the opponent's racket. This freedom with the game's physics means that the mechanics are much more varied and creative. It creates a sort of risk-reward gimmick where you can approach these crazy shots and try to block them, but you risk breaking your racket. You've got the option to slow down time to make the blocking easier, but you have to use your energy bar, which powers your own zone and special shots. It retains the tried and true tennis gameplay with the 5 main shots, but the extra layer of management of what is basically MP and HP adds so much with so little. Aces feels like an arcade game, and it has the longevity of one. With a good bushel of characters and more on the way, stages with actual unique mechanics about them, and an outstanding, addicting online mode, Aces is the gift that won't stop giving.
Number 8, Dragon Ball FighterZ. Dragon Ball FighterZ. Dragon Ball FighterZ.
The only reason this game isn't higher on the list is because I'm just so fucking bad at it. But hey, the fact that I can get cream pied so hard online and still make it through with a smile on my face is a sign that this game is something truly special. If you're a longtime Dragon Ball fan, this is the game for you. They nailed its look, so much so that I was sold on the game from the moment I laid eyes on it, despite never playing a Dragon Ball fighting game. Especially when compared to the Xenoverse games, it's glowing with personality and polish. Characters look exactly how they do in the show, from Goku's rippling biceps to Krillin's bright shining head. Their movement frames are even cut to more accurately depict 2D animation. Shit, most of the effects are 2D animation. It feels like controlling a fight from the show, and that's something we've wanted since the very beginning. There's also sly little references to the anime literally all throughout. There's the obvious, like, Android 16 self-destruct, and then less so with Chiaotzu fucking killing himself in Yamcha's death pose. Like, they literally referenced a meme. That's just, oh, it's just so amazing. Speaking of, you can't really talk about Dragon Ball FighterZ without mentioning just fucking plethora of memes and mods.
These people are doing God's work. Number 7, Spyro Reignited Trilogy.
When the Insane Trilogy came out last year, there was a lingering thought in all of our minds, but it just seemed so out of the realm of plausibility. Sure, the Crash remakes had sold insanely well, but how could we hope for the return of such a forgotten series? One that had been treated so horribly for the past 20 years. I certainly wasn't getting my hopes up, not after Activision had made it so clear that Skylanders were here to stay. And then boom! We got Spyro back. My little boy came home in all of his platforming glory. No weird fighting mechanics, no stupidly dark stories, and no fucking peripheral toys. Just platforming for the sake of fun. I love that each game has retained what made the originals both enjoyable and frustrating. Like the flying missions are still kind of obnoxious, same goes for the swimming, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I really like being reminded of how I felt as a kid playing these games, grinding my teeth and tossing the controllers because the camera won't fucking follow Spyro. And hey, all of the platforming bits are better than they were 20 years ago, and of course the game looks amazing. It doesn't quite look as aesthetically cohesive as the PS1 classic, and it's not as polished as a Nintendo platformer, say, but it's colorful, the models are nice and cartoony, and most of the characters' redesigns are awesome. Most of them. 3D platformers have been making a resurgence these past few years, and I cannot wait to see where they go next.
Number 6, God of War.
God of War was an awesome surprise this year, as I didn't have very high hopes for it. When they first revealed it a few years back, it was clear that this new entry was changing things drastically, in ways that I, at the time, was not very fond of. But what seemed like a game in a series known for action doing away with said action in favor of story, ended up being a balanced mixture of the two. The story is great, it kept me holding on all throughout. Atreus is a cool character, and his origin as Kratos' son was a mystery that needed to be quenched, and by the end of the tale I was extremely satisfied with the way they did so. But the main appeal for me wasn't the story. God of War is still a game, for the most part. Just like the rest of the series, the heart of this game is its incredibly fun combat. You essentially have 3 weapons, being axe, shield, and all of which do different things. Like the axe is really powerful but is more or less a glass cannon, while the shield and fists aren't quite as strong but provide great defensive opportunities and also build Kratos' special meter rapidly. Even though Kratos can learn a whole bunch of fighting combos and techniques, the player really doesn't have to use more than one. Yet the hits feel so satisfying to land with the sound effects and hit stun that I wanted to try the most complex and flashy combos I could think of. Each move links so well to every other that accomplishing this wasn't difficult. You'll notice that I prioritize having fun over enjoying a story, and God of War, when it wanted to be, was an exceptionally fun game. When it wanted to be.
1990. Ah, spaghetti.
Number 5, SpiderMan.
Yeah, 2 Game of the Year contenders plopped right in the middle of the list. Just like God of War, I really didn't have high hopes for Spider-Man, but again, it really shut me the fuck up. I think advertisements and trailers aren't really doing these kinds of games justice, as they never focus on the actual games themselves. What I thought would be a way too story-focused Spider-Man game ended up being everything I could hope for in such a title. Actually, maybe a bit less. Who the fuck thought the Mary Jane sections were a good idea, huh? I'm serious. I want to know the person or group of people that thought playing as a powerless Mary Jane in a game about fucking Spider-Man would be fun.
Mamma mia.
Other than that, this is the best Spider-Man game out there, period. It does everything that it should. The score is sweeping and epic, the graphics are gorgeous, fighting is fluid and fun, and most importantly, swinging feels just right. I'd often find myself just zoning out and swinging all around just for the shits of it. The combat may start simplistic and bare, but the more gadgets unlocked, the more dynamic and complex battling becomes. When I think about it, it makes sense that the game's developer, Insomniac, also develops Ratchet & Clank. The way you're constantly opening the weapon wheel and choosing a different gadget to help with different kinds of fights is really similar to those games, often to gratifying results. Regardless of the amount of love you have for the Spider-Man franchise, you should pick this game up. Just be ready for fucking these.
Not good. Excuse me, sir. You can't be. Not good.
You're lucky to be alive.
Says the guy I
Saved 5 minutes ago.
Not good. Sir, you can't be. Not good.
Number 4, Monster Hunter World.
I played the holy fuck out of this game, goddamn! I picked up the Monster Hunter series back in 4 Ultimate and I instantly fell in love. It's a series that encourages monotony. It wants the players to grind. And there's a fucking infinite amount of ways to do that. There's 14 weapon classes, all vastly different from one another, an absolute plethora of armor sets with different perks, uncountable amounts of gems you can craft and engrave into this armor, dozens of meals to eat before hunting which grant various buffs, lots of different strategies for hunting monsters like trapping them or just killing them, and you can have up to 4 friends or randos to join you. Monster Hunter World is the next step in the series, even though it's understandably not labeled Monster Hunter 5. The Graphics are better, the gameplay is simplified and polished, the monsters are bombastic and huge. It's an undoubtable upgrade. It's Monster Hunter brought into the modern age, but with most of the classic quirks that made the series so original. Even though it looks so realistic, you can still arm wrestle, you can still do silly little dances, the invisible lady still says, "So tasty," when you finish a well-done piece of meat. It is the Monster Hunter game. What really impresses me the most about it is just how polished it is. Everything works cohesively. I rarely had the frame rate skip, or had monsters just appear when I turned the camera, even when I was playing online. Capcom put an insane amount of work into it, and it really shows. It's a great time with friends or alone, and I can't fucking wait for the G-Rank expansion later this year. Why'd they show it so early though? Seriously, why did you show it so early? It's like, it comes out in August, that's like an 8-month cycle, more than the fucking base game.
Number 3, Celeste.
Alright, it's top 3 time. Celeste it's such a pure game. It's got a simple story that tells an important message effectively. It's a 2D platformer. You jump, clean the walls, climb walls, and you have like a magic second jump that you need to use. Your abilities are straightforward, but the game uses this small rule set in tons of different ways. There's pads that make you jump higher, walls that rush forward when you touch them, little diamonds that refill your second jump. Each move stacks on top of one another, then each mechanic does the same until you're thinking about a billion different things in the gameplay with 2 fucking buttons. And Celeste isn't afraid to call the player out. From the very start, you're told that strawberries don't do shit, that they're just for bragging rights. And I'm like, bragging rights? I fucking want those. So I kissed my son and wife goodbye, and I fucking kill myself. I end it all, because I'll never get all these fucking strawberries. They're literally meaningless, a complete waste of time. But I fucking need them. I need to be the best. Anyway, Celeste is a great game with tons of shit to do that'll warm your heart and make you feel like a little fucking bitch at the same time.
Number 2, Mega Man 11.
I was pretty distraught to find so little sign of Mega Man at the Game Awards this year. Sure, he was nominated for Best Action Game, but that's literally it. It felt like 11 came and went, and here I am, a bumbling nerd trying to explain why it's the second best game to release this year. It is a testament to the series formula and impresses me in more ways than I could list. But hey, let's try. This leap in graphics is the most obvious change. Classic Mega Man had yet to move out of the bit era, and it was refreshing to finally see him in glorious 3D. But what's changed in 11 isn't what really endeared me to it. While the graphics are a marked upgrade, the controls feel just as they have since Mega Man 3. Mega Man is slow, methodical. You're not blasting your way through barriers with rapid speed, you're playing defense against an onslaught of enemies, and 11 retains this idea to a T. Yet the levels you find yourself in, while similar to past games, have a bit more modernity to their I can't fucking say that word. A bit more modernity to their modernity. Hold up. Modernity. The fuck? Yet the levels you find yourself in, while similar to past games, have a bit more modernity to their... It's just such a weird fucking word. Why did I write that? Yet the levels you find yourself in, while similar to past games, have a bit more modernity to their design. Some of these things just couldn't be done in the NES and SNES days, and it was great to explore unfamiliar territory with the same classic moveset that we've had mastered for decades. And of course, 11 also holds on to the Robot Master routes. Each master is weak to another's weapon, so players are encouraged to go on a particular route but with any starting point. The weapons this time around are so fun to use and versatile. Not only does Fuse Man's weapon destroy metal enemies, but it lights up these sections in Torch Man's stage. Not only does Tundra Man's weapon freeze his firewall, but it freezes the ooze in Acid Man's stage. You're never punished for experimenting and often rewarded for it. Finally, the double gear system is the biggest new addition while really not being one. I love it because it's just a tool, similar to the special weapons. If it was required to beat certain sections, it would defeat the whole purpose of Mega Man. The player needs to be able to experiment with the tools they're granted. They should never be forced to wield particular weapons, because then what's the point of giving them multiple in the first place? The gear system is never required. You're gonna have one fuck of a time without it. Shit, as anyone who's played the game can tell you, you're gonna have a tough time even with it. But you always have that option. You can make the game harder for yourself if you want, or if you just don't really like the feel of the system in the first place. You can stick with just the weapons, or just the special abilities, or just the fucking blaster if you're an absolute unit. Regardless, you'll have a damn good time. You might pick up a few scrapes, a few bruises, but damn it, you'll come out a better person in the end. The fucking music sucks dick, though.
Number 1, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate!
Maximize percentage. We get the total points on the enemies already. Yep. There they are! Oh, Jesus, we are picking up. Really good trajectory.
Do not fucking act for a second like you didn't see this one coming. A year ago, we didn't even know this game existed, and now here I am putting it at the tippy top of the list. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is something special. I adored Smash 4, but now it just feels like a bridge to get from Brawl to Ultimate. It is my favorite Smash game. It's got everything that the others had, but just more. Just more shit. The single player is expansive. It's basically just event matches times like fucking a trillion. Spirits are an addictive and appropriate replacement for trophies. I rarely go a day without visiting the Spirit board. The music list is gargantuan with over 900 songs. Absolutely insane. And all of these new remixes are awesome, especially the Castlevania and Mega Man ones. Even though all but 4 stages are returning, so many are brought back from Melee, Brawl, and 3DS that they might as well just be new fucking stages. I mean, there's over 100, how can you complain? Some of these look just incredible in Ultimate's engine. Speaking of, this is the best looking Smash game, hands down. Put those fucking hands down. The original got it right, with a cartoony, sort of comic book aesthetic. Then it just plummeted after that until it fucking crashed into the sea with Brawl. Smash 4 was a step in the right direction, but it retained Brawl's ugly, realistic effects. Then comes Ultimate with that BOOM! Everything looks so fucking bright and vibrant. The characters are expressive and animated. The effects are 2D and pop like delicious popcorn. Yes! This is what Smash was meant to look like. I don't know who thought realism was the right direction to go in a game about cartoon characters fighting, but I'm glad they finally stopped pulling their rod and started working with both hands. But how does the game play? Well, it's quick. It's snappy. Characters zoom all over the screen like chihuahuas. One grab and before you know it, you're 70%. It's beautiful. They weakened shields so you won't play too defensively. They buffed all attacks so you play more offensively. All recoveries feel worse, so edge guarding is actually a thing. Characters fucking rocket at lightning speed when you hit them hard enough. Point is, there's very little downtime in these matches. You're either beating the shit out of something or running to beat the shit out of something. Matches are shorter, and that's a good thing.
On to the next, I say.
Not to mention, despite having a stupid amount of fighters, over 70, Ultimate is the most balanced game in the series. I mean, tanks are actually viable characters. Bowser is really good. Not just situationally good, but actually a threat to all characters.
We also saying he has the tech and he's gonna repeat history right there.
Ultimate provides this treasure trove of unique experiences. It's an addicting single-player game, a chaotically fun party game, and a flashy, fluid, deceptively deep fighting game. Just like every other Smash, it'll stick around until the next game comes out. It's already been a fucking romp watching the meta develop and constantly change. If we're gonna be stuck with any Smash game as the last in the series, I'm glad it was this one. Here's to another 100 hours, boys! From like 2012 to 2016, the gaming scene was in a rut, I feel. More and more open world games were flooding the market, cheap yearly releases were at their peak popularity, and Nintendo was floundering trying to keep their already failed console alive. But for these past 2 years, things are changing. Developers are working to change and advance their classic series. Series like Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed sales are comparatively low. Nintendo has come full force with great game after great game. I know positivity isn't as entertaining, but I genuinely feel like games are on a huge upswing. Just look at 2019. There's a new Animal Crossing and Luigi's Mansion on the way, a new generation of Pokemon, Psychonauts 2, Ori 2, remakes of Resi 2, Bowser's Inside Story, Crash Team Racing, fucking Medieval, fucking Battletoads, what? Kingdom Hearts 3 is probably coming out? Like, Jesus! This will be the 3rd year in a row with just an uncountable amount of awesome games, and I can't wait. I mean, fucking Battletoads, dude, fuck!